Maybe that'd be kind of interesting, especially considering we don't know.
We're good. With the 50/50 podcast. No, I was just wondering like how we were gonna fight over starting the intro.
I'm still laughing at the chefs are cooking line that I just said. I thought that was good.
I feel like we should start at some point like recording our pre-conversation and just not uploading it, and then just starting up mid-conversation. Like you don't even know when it starts. I just hit record.
Yeah.
At a random part.
People will just jump into this video and we're just slandering Beyblade, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, that was so funny.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good topic. How many of you guys actually like Beyblade, and how many of you guys are just memeing?
No, dude, Beyblade was legit. What are you talking
People actually
about?
like that.
Yeah.
That's like super shocking to me because I don't hear about it nowadays, right?
I mean,
nobody plays Beyblade in 2023.
That's because so Beyblade gave birth to like a few more like futuristic concepts, right? Tops were like before games and before like the modern era, every culture had tops. Every culture.
Well, yeah, that's like saying every culture had water. Like
no,
yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. No. But like so Beyblades was this thing, right, that existed pre our era, and the Beyblades was just kind of like a transition that connected across where like Bangladesh had tops. Like my grandpa taught me how to competitively like play tops, and it's this crazy version where it's like these wooden things are on these nails, and like I actually cracked a marble table with it, and I just didn't like. Oh my goodness, no one knows because it kind of like blended in, but that shit was crazy because I flung it and then it just stabbed into the table, and I was like, oh, like those things could kill. And then we talked about it in a previous episode how
So
like
what you're saying is that Beyblades, it's not a kids show.
hey, listen, the Beyblades, people sleep on. They were thinking that like these tops transcending to the level of gods is too far fetched, but let me tell you, put a top in my hand, it gets. There was a TikTok trend last year, bringing back Beyblades. Actually, I figured there's probably some people who don't know what we're talking about at all, which is kind of sad. You're either too young.
If you don't know what we're talking about, then honestly, you're doing yourself a favor.
You're either too young or you were on another side of the spectrum.
Beyblades, why are you describing? It's like a fidget spinner that has a little point at the end. But it's not cool. And it used to be a TV show. It had an anime, but I didn't think it was cool.
No, the anime was
didn't
dope, dude. The anime was
I
so
didn't know there were
good.
even characters. The way everybody I know described the show, I thought it was actually just like spinning tops, like moving around.
That's
and
like
talking
saying
and stuff.
Yu-Gi-Oh is just a bunch of cards that talk to each other, or Pokemon.
But at least the cards are monsters, though.
Yeah, the tops are monsters.
How cool can you make a spinning top?
It's so cool. All right, but you know,
People were like, "Oh, like the spinning tops are the best. They're so good." Like
they're
at the end
literally.
of the day, I think only one person in the comment section of the last video actually named a character from the show, and I don't even know if I believe it or if it's just the name of a spinning top.
Beyblade went the way of Digimon, where after like the fourth season, there was like moments of coolness that like
There's so many seasons of it.
there's as many seasons as there are of Digimon. I think Beyblade is Beyblade is still going. You know when Toei got hacked, they one of the series that they took, I'm pretty sure was a Beyblade one. I'm pretty sure. And so the reason why Beyblade fell through was because there was things like Bakugan and like there was other variations of like.
Oh my god, there's actually a 7th season coming out this spring. Nobody's watching this.
But I think that's a 7th series on a separate franchise. So the original franchise ended, and that's the sick one. That is the cool one. That is the one that everybody likes talking about. And so last year there was a TikTok trend that brought it back, and there was like tournaments of people modifying their like Beyblades and going sick, and like originally there was like tournament rules where you couldn't do certain things, but like there's like the engineering in them where it's like
there's a technique so powerful to mankind they would kill the next person.
So there's a specific top.
You're gonna kill the people.
There's a specific top. I'm pretty sure it's called it has engines.
40 blue.
So that you build it up, like stack it, right? And there's like an engine inside, and there was an engine, and I'm stuffing it up because I'm not a real Beyblade head. I just appreciate the passion behind it and things I saw. But there's a concept in the show. It was kind of called like it was like a vampiric thing. Like it would suck the life out of the other ones, right? And so as you got hit, you would loop. It would take this rotation from the other top. And so in order to beat it, you have to like you'd have to be quick and swift, or your top would have to like awaken and gain sentience, which would happen. But in real life, they engineered the thing that would take the spin away from other tops. So there's literally tops that will sit dead. Like the craziest thing, and there was like a
I like
trend.
how hyped you are for Beyblade.
Dude, there was okay. They did a thing where they had a track of candles, and they put a specific configuration, and the point of the trend was to make it so the top would make it to the end of the track and put out all the fire, and it did. And I was like, wait, that's sick. And then another one was
Funding this.
They put matches on the end of it or something like that, where they did something, and then it lit on fire, and then it was just making like a mini tornado of fire, and it was like the coolest thing. And then they would light other matches and create an explosion. It was kind of sick. This is all on TikTok last year.
Like it sounds cool. Like, it doesn't sound bad, but I just don't know why people put so much effort into the spinning tops.
Because it was a thing. Like, I guarantee you, I don't know about your parents, but every like immigrant, like a certain age, if you talk about tops, every culture had it. Every culture had it. The thing was, when I went back to Bangladesh before we talked about the podcast, like with the walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
And I think I told you, like, our Game Boys got stolen that time, and not Game Boys and stuff. They played with tops. Like, kids would just play with it on the street worldwide. Like, when we got Game Boys, most other countries didn't have that. They were still playing with, like, tops and outdoor games kind of stuff. And that's actually a funny thing, because I watched a TikTok the other day. And basically it was this like mom or girl or something like that, and she was videotaping outside her house, and there was these kids, like I you know, if I were to profile them, they were like 12 to 16, like in that group. They were, you know, tall.
They were playing with tops outside.
No. They were so disconnected with the outdoors that the girl was basically saying, like, I think they don't know how to be outside. Like, and it was just like this one person was just pacing back and forth, like one kid, and then like the other kid was just like looking up at the sky, just standing there, and then the sister was just doing like random stretches, and like they just had no cohesion, and it looked like they were just bored. And the girl was just like, wait, I think they genuinely forgot. Like we've gone so far from the outdoors that they just don't know what to do with themselves. Like back in art, like I was telling my wife, like the moment I can like throw my child and like rake up leaves, I'm just gonna toss him into like a pile of leaves. And I was like, I don't think kids know about those, like the fun of that. Did you do that when you were a kid?
No, not really.
Wait, what did you do when you were a kid? Actually, I don't know.
So before I was a gamer, I was actually a torturer of small insects.
At least it's not.
So
they're gonna say animals, and then we were gonna have to get canceled.
No. I love animals. But when it came to insects, I had no mercy. So my cousin, his family owns a restaurant.
Okay.
And I used to go there all the time.
Okay.
And I can't cook, right? Like, I can't just stand around in a restaurant as a little Asian kid, so I had to do something with my time. So I went to the back lot, and there was this little, like, dirt patch with some grass and some flowers that I used to go to with my cousin.
Right.
And there were a bunch of ants there, a bunch of anthills. And what I used to do was I used to get the ants one by one, and I used to take some toothpicks, and I used to saw off their limbs and put their heads on the little sticks and then put them on the ground. And I used to dig up like a little like patch of dirt, and then I put water in it from the restaurant, and then I just like make a little boat and a raft of toothpicks. I put the ants on there and strand them in the middle. And I don't know, man. Like I used to just like play with ants and cut them apart all the time. It was super cool.
I was gonna like relate to you, and then you did like indigenous, indigenous torture to like.
It's not indigenous torture, right?
Like Game of Thrones.
Instant.
Like, you put their heads on pikes.
Well, yeah, but
what was the mindset? It was to warn the other insects, like this is what will happen if you come.
No, I wanted to make a kingdom.
Which is,
you can't have a kingdom ruled by love, part. It has to be built by fear and dead bodies.
oh, is that how you build a kingdom? Yeah.
I think that's been my mindset since I was a kid. I was just like, I want to build a little throne. So I made a little chair, but made of toothpicks that I just like, bent apart and put together with tape. It was really dope.
See, the thing,
Ants appreciated it.
my version of that is I didn't go that hard, but the moment I found out like you could light things on fire with magnifying glass, that it was wrapped. I had to try that on everything, and so like it worked. It definitely worked. I didn't do it as often as you did. Especially, it was like kind of like a one and done. I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Insects. Yeah, I get it. It's definitely different than animals, right? Like we're gonna get.
I would never do that to a cat or a dog or anything like that.
I wonder, does
ants fair game?
Does PETA's protect insects?
I don't think so. Why would they?
I don't know, but like they protect a lot of things that they shouldn't necessarily.
I can't wait till the I don't even know what they're called. Like people like just come into the comments and start harassing us.
Yeah. We had the flat earthers for the
The flat earthers were their last episode. Today's episode is just the ant protectors.
Yeah, Yeah, I had some comments. Like people were genuinely surprised about the 10% thing, and then just so like there's a few videos in the Discord, and there's a few of our listeners that have responses in my Discord. I don't know if I actually told you about that, and they give us like
You have responses for what? To
Like-
prove that the Earth is flat?
no, like various topics that we talk about, like, oh, this is what Par was talking about, blah blah,
Oh.
and then it's like, you know, giving more depth to, you know, some things, or correcting some things I mistaked or whatever. Also, my camera just went like demon mode for a second, right?
Yeah, it was a split second. You guys didn't see it.
Yeah, didn't see it.
I like to imagine as the video goes on, Par's camera gets more and more cursed. So by the end, he's just a demon, like just smiling at the camera.
Yeah, remember that time when we were on a live, and then your camera got replaced with my camera, so it's just me, and then it froze on my other one,
Yeah.
and it was just smiling. It's like,
Sometimes if you just watch Par's streams or videos closely, you'll find some really scary images.
wait, what do you mean?
It's like a creepy. It's like that, like that you just talked about, where it just stops at you smiling.
Why
And
is
it
me?
freezes
I
there.
feel like that's with every content. You could
Well,
pause.
that's with everybody, yeah, but it doesn't happen that often for other people.
just
Because
because
again, I don't swing around the space that much, so maybe it happens to everybody.
Yeah, everyone has
Par is the one I've noticed the most.
a resting, interesting face. I'm trying to think what other insect type of things. Fire was, I guess, a thematic of mine.
With fire, have you ever seen fire ants?
Have you ever seen fire ants? I
Yeah,
don't
they're
know.
crazy.
I don't
They go ham over here in Oklahoma.
Do they?
They hurt. Yeah, they hurt.
Like, I don't know if like
Hyper
in
aggressive.
Bangladesh, there was a bunch of red ants that ended up biting up my brother, and like he was like randomly like I feel like burning or whatever, and I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We were kids. I don't know if that was fire ants or if the, like there could be
Wait, are
other
you
kinds of red ants.
uncircumcised?
Am I I'm trying.
It brought up like a childhood memory. I gotta know
Why?
if you can relate or not.
No, I can't because I'm circumcised.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I'm uncircumcised, and when I fell on a fire ant hill, they crawled all over my body as a kid, and they bit me everywhere.
Okay. I feel like.
And I don't know if I should go further. You know, this is going to YouTube, but let's just say, man, like
This is going on
the
YouTube.
fire ants were. I think they got revenge for all their dead Nakama that I tortured back at the restaurant.
Okay. So like I need clarifications, right?
What's up?
You described a cartoons where it's like you literally like your tool like in
Yes.
like and the thing like it, but you said they were all over you. So like, don't describe how. Okay, I kind of just need to understand how long you were on this anthill. How did they get all over you? And then like, were you not wearing underwear?
I was wearing underwear, but they're just pesky.
Like when you were a kid, did you like wear boxer briefs like this?
No. So I only started wearing boxer briefs when I got to high school. But from birth to middle school, I wore nothing but tidy whities. Which were cursed. Yeah, cursed. I don't know why my parents thought that was so cool. Like, I remember I had to ask my parents, like, for boxer briefs, and they're
They're
like,
just
oh,
cheaper,
sure?
right? I thought they're just cheaper. That's
Tidy
why.
whities?
Yeah, they're just.
I mean, I know they're a classic. Like, maybe back when my parents were a lot younger, tidy whities were the shiz, but nowadays, like, nobody wears them.
I don't know if it was like the classic, sure, but in the context of like, there's no other option. You know what I mean? Like, like they
I
probably.
mean, surely somebody thought of black underwear or boxer briefs, right?
No, I think. Well, like
there
boxer-
shouldn't be like a modern day concept.
Yeah, but like like I mean, in Bangladesh, like where our your parents were originally not from the U.S., right?
Yeah, they're originally not from the U.S. They came here a long time ago, though, when they were like still kids.
So I'd imagine like everywhere else, they just ran with whitey tighties because why? Why anything else?
That's fair.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there was probably options, but
Well, okay, so you must know this, but like the perception with tidy whities is that they're just inherently dirty.
yeah.
Like after a couple uses, it's like it's scuffed for life.
Well, I mean, all underwear is like that.
Like after 2 or 3 uses, it's not tidy whities anymore. It's I can't rhyme, but I guess like brown. right? Like nobody wants that.
I mean, that's just a visual version. I mean, the other thing is a lot of the modern world has started using bidets, but in my culture we always used water, so like that didn't necessarily happen with our whitey tighties. But you are supposed to use like replace your underwear like I think on an annual basis, because the amount of accumulated feet, like it's kind of like how you replace your mattress like every like 5-10 years, because it gets these stats are not right, but I'm pretty sure it over the years, 10 years, whatever, it gains like 100 pounds of dead skin cells. So like,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's why you're supposed to replace your mattress 5-10 years. That's why there's so many mattress firms, because mattress firms are that necessary, even though nobody buys from mattress firm. But you'll see like 7 in the same thing, because they're definitely not trafficking people. But that besides that,
they're definitely not laundering money.
Yeah, so one or the other. It's basically they go hand in hand. But with the underwear, it's the same thing, because there's no, even if you clean heavily down there, it's like the accumulation of farts and whatever.
Fecal matter.
Yeah.
Just like everything. It's not fun.
You can't laundry that stuff out.
At least for boxer briefs and black underwear, you could look at it and be like, I can't see it, right? See no evil, hear no evil, whatever. But when it's white, it's like, dude, like the minute your fart is a little bit sus, it's like it's gone forever.
Yeah. Wait, so how did we get the whitey type of
fire? Oh yeah, the fire ants.
Okay.
Asked how they got over me. Okay.
Yes.
I fell on a fire ant hill, but this stemmed because I don't know how to ride a bike.
Okay, but do you also not know how to get up?
So when I was a kid, so I still don't know how to ride a bike to this very day.
Okay, so like
even at my
maybe
yeah. So
okay.
I had training wheels, and I used to love my training wheels. It was the sickest thing I've ever had in my life. I used to ride around the block all the time with my training wheels. But eventually, I don't know what age I was, but my dad was like, "Hey, we gotta take the training wheels off eventually, right? Like we gotta take them off. Like you gotta learn how to ride a bike normally."
The analogy of life, yes.
Yeah, and then I was like, "Okay, cool, I'll try it." But my balance on a bike is god awful. It's so bad. So I used to get in so many crashes without training wheels, and I just never knew how to ride it. And then my dad was like, "Hey, you're not gonna eat dinner if you don't know how to ride a bike today." And we'd cycle this where I'd spend like an hour to a day, like at night, riding a bike back and forth without training wheels before I could eat dinner. And it got to the point where like I kept on crashing because I was like tired. And I used to crash a lot, and my neighborhood was new at the time, so there's a lot of construction and a lot of dirt, ant hills, whatever. So I would crash on those hills all the time. And then my foot would hurt so bad to where I couldn't get up. And I fell on one of the ant hills, and I couldn't like actually get up, and I was just sitting there for a little bit without knowing there's a fire ant hill nearby. So they all just crawled into my pants while I was sitting on the ground.
See, I'm not trying to like bike shame, right? I just want to know how many people in the comments experience a similar situation, because I know you're athletic, right? Because you used to play.
Yeah,
soccer.
I'm athletic. I play soccer. I play basketball. I still work out to this day.
Yeah, because like
I
what
have
you
decent
did.
hand-eye coordination, but I think it's because I never wanted to learn how to ride a bike. If I don't want to do something, I will. I think I have like a mental block where it's just like, okay, we're not gonna learn how to do this.
No, but like
And it was because my dad kept on forcing me on how to ride a bike when I was a kid that I just never wanted to learn it, and I refused to learn it. Because on a different note, I know how to skateboard. I can do tricks. I can ollie and everything. And I can't ride a bike. And I think that's where it is. I think because my dad tried to force it so hard onto me, I just never really wanted to properly learn.
Okay.
Because I was just like, man, I really don't want to ride a bike today. But my dad was like, all right, here we go. It was like 7 o'clock at night. He's like, all right, before dinner, we got to ride a bike for like an hour or two. And I was like, oh, God.
No, I'm with you. I was going to point that out, that it's probably from your dad, but like I just wanted to get like, so what you're saying is you think subconsciously or consciously you were like refusing
A stubborn
to learn.
guy, yeah.
And
Even to this day, I'm really stubborn.
That pushed you, so So like it was so
You trying to
far.
wrap your head around this?
It was so far gone that you crashed many times over that you would hurt your leg.
Yeah.
And that, now connecting back to the original part, that was one of the times that you landed on the anthill and you couldn't get back up because you hurt your leg so bad.
Yeah, and not necessarily my leg, but like my shin, and I still have a scar. But I actually, so I was riding, and I was riding at such a high momentum that I couldn't stop in time. But I was running into a mailbox. But I tried to throw my foot onto the ground to stop it, which is a bad idea because the pedals are still going. And the pedal actually slammed into my heel, and I still have a scar to this day. Just the duck
I
safety.
mean, that part makes sense. That's like a part of experimenting with bikes. But you know, usually you know how to ride a bike before you do that kind of thing. 'Cause
I'm telling you, I was the training wheel terror back in elementary school. I was known around the block as the kid that rides the trikes. I was a monster. But the minute you take the training wheels off, like, no, I flew so hard.
But like, do you actually like? So now, if I bought you a bike, and
I would not ride it, dude. Okay,
But
when
you
I
can.
got into
But you
college, when I
can.
got into college, I had a lot of friends who rode bikes all around campus, and that's still a thing. But I preferred a longboard, even though it was a little bit slower and required more effort.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to ride a bike, and they're like, "Oh, we'll buy you a bike." It's like that's not the problem. I just don't want to ride a bike.
I mean, that's fair. I don't like riding bikes either. I know how to.
Come on. Skaters are way cooler, anyways. Who cares about bicyclists?
I just think that I'm not built for bikes because like I could run longer, run fat, like super fast. But I think like I learned this from an anime, a biking anime, Yaomushi no Kido. And they in that they said that basically the premise of that show is like this unsuspecting kid ends up being like a god biker, and but like he looks super thin and frail and whatever. But what they say is that like apparently for biking you use a completely different set of muscles and muscle groups that you don't use in your normal like day-to-day life, so you don't know if you're good or bad at biking. It's something that like once you're on it you kind of like know. And so this kid ended up being a god because he just like he would always ride a bike to his like grandma's house who's in a mountain, you know, typical anime type thing, right? And so they were like, wait, where does your mom live or your grandma live? And he like described like 50 miles away.
Fuji.
Yeah, basically like 50 miles away. And then they're like, what bike do you use? And then he used like a bike without gears. It was like a kid's bike. And then they're like they're like, what? And then they were like, how long did it take you? Like, oh, like, you know, once I got like to age 10, it was kind of like I couldn't take like 5 hours to get there or something. So then he got really good and could do it like in an hour. And then so then like take our bike, competitively race, and he was like a god. And then I was like, oh wait, is that why I don't like biking? Because it's like a completely different muscle group, and it's like I just get tired so much easier on a bike. Like not like super tired, but like I don't know, I just prefer not to. And my wife loves riding bikes, and so does my brother. And then we all bought bikes, but we bought 2 bikes. And then like we were all outside, and they were like, oh, do you want a bike? And I was like, no. And then they just like I was like, it's fine, you guys can go. And then they would go, and then instead they bought me another bike, and we don't use it. And they're just like, yeah, but we just felt bad because it felt like we didn't at least give you the option to come with us. With like,
No, they're just wasting their money. No.
And yeah, at least it was a Costco deal, so it was like a cheap bike.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like 200 something, but it was like a good bike. It was a good bike. It was just, you know, something I didn't really care.
I would like to imagine if it was a life or death situation, I could ride a bike.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why I, even if I don't like something, even if I hate something, even if I don't care for something, I like learning about every single thing because I could. I'm sure, you know, like the irony of life is that's why you're going to end up in the situation that you're going to end up in. You're going to need that information, and you consciously made a choice to, like, not partake in it, right? And then God's going to play a sick joke and be like, you know, you didn't want to go swimming one day, and then you're found in a situation where you need to swim, right? And it's like, oh, I'll never find myself in the ocean. And God's like, bet. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things.
I like to imagine if real life was like an RPG, every time I walk by a bike, there's like a red box right above the bike that says, you do not have the available skill to ride this. Like, it's just blocked off.
You know,
Every bike vision.
High key, that would be a great setting. You know what I mean? Like in like Grand Theft Auto, for example. I don't remember. No, I don't know if Grand Theft Auto is it because they allowed you to die wherever. But a lot of games similar to that, if you could not swim, they would just block off water. You could see the water, and you could like understandably walk into the water, but they would make it so there's like an invisible force field, so you just constantly walk into it, right?
Yeah.
But you know, and then there's some games that choose to give you the life lesson of like, hey, if you don't know how to swim, don't walk into the water, right? Imagine if the world was like that, where it's like if you didn't have a certain skill set, like a thing didn't allow you to do it, and like there was some kind of like a higher level thing that kind of just said like, hey, you don't actually, you might have a driver's license, but you don't actually know how to drive, right? And then it's just, you can't open the door, you can't start the car, you know what I mean?
It blocks you off, like a narrator comes in.
Yeah, like we would say.
So John doesn't know how to do this.
Yeah,
John does not have this ability.
You just get publicly shamed, like it's a voice that everybody can hear, and then like your whole family's like, oh. Like you know what's actually crazy? You know, actually, I titled this section "Life or Death," but I think I'm gonna name it like skill sets. So I don't know if you knew about this. How many people do you think are illiterate in the world or in America?
In America, illiterate.
Yeah, illiterate.
So we have a population of around, I say around almost 400 million, or around that number.
Yeah.
I would say 5% are illiterate, which is a lot.
Let me read you the top thing. So again, I'm not using.
That's 20 million people. I think 20 million people are illiterate here in America.
Okay, so here's what. Actually, let me use an actually okay. Think Impact. That seems like a good website. No, this website's definitely trap shit. But the Google search hits you with some crazy numbers. Actually, let me. Forbes truly prosperity of America. That has to be a good one. Okay, here we go. The U.S. are illiterate in 2022. 54% of adults have a literacy below the 6th grade level, and 21% of Americans 18 and older are illiterate. That's what it's really. And so, you said 5%, right?
Yeah, no, it's quadruple.
And
21%. Wow.
And that number is actually after a huge U.S. campaign that started with Barbara Bush, which Bush is, I don't know the whole history about like Barbara Bush, but Barbara Bush alone cracked. She actually, from what I know, as much as I read up on her, you know, a long time ago, I understood why first ladies actually matter, because it's being the first lady, you know, is kind of this crazy thing where you have like essentially the power of the United States, but you are not elected, and you have like nobody, like, yeah, people are overseeing what you do, but you have like a certain amount of craziness allocated to you because you're the first lady. And you know, I'm not saying you didn't do anything to get there, right? Like, because especially being the president, and you know, especially culture, the way culture was prior to, you know, Donald Trump specifically, but you know, before the 2000s, it was like being elected as a president and not being a family man was very difficult, because that's a highly respected, you know, factor in being elected, regardless on both sides. And so, you know, they obviously did a lot, and the dynamic made sense. But, you know, coming into New Era, Barbara Bush set out this reading thing, like to increase the reading rates in America. And there was this dude, I forget the full story, but he was buggy. He was buggy, and you know what that means. And most of our listeners knows what that means. I think there are some people who don't know, like, One Piece. I've been clued in. A few people don't know One Piece, apparently. But to basically... Uber. He was a dude who failed upwards constantly. So, growing up, I think he was dyslexic. I think that's what it was. There's like this one story that stands out, and this is how I found out about him. bullshitting all this way. He made it to college, and I think in college he broke into like his professor's like thing to get test
robbing his
answers.
class.
Yeah, to get the test answers, and he couldn't read them or whatever. So he just had to like remember like symbols apparently.
I was like a caveman.
And he,
Nice.
I might be butchering the story, but from what I remember, was he became a college professor of like language arts afterwards. Like he kept on failing upwards into the, and like he kept on like, and I feel like I think what I remember is like in his 50s, he or when he like was a grandpa, his grandchildren I think found out that he couldn't read. Or something like that. Like
That's
some,
kinda cool.
Some crazy thing, and then because
Like, imagine your grandpa sits you down, like, candlelit room, and it's like, I have a secret to tell you. I can't read.
yeah,
Like, imagine how impactful that would be.
and Barbara Bush was the
I'd be
reason.
inspired.
I think like there was like a two like there was some kind of thing that she started that the grandchildren brought to the grandpa. It's like, oh, can we do this, blah blah blah, or something like that. And so he was able to read because of Barbara Bush in his like 50s or 60s, and then a bunch of people came out because of that guy. And it was like, I admit I cannot read as well. And it was like this huge wave of people that just
It's
like
nuts. Okay, if they're dyslexic or they have some disability, then I think it's fair that they learn how to be literate at a later date, right? You can postpone it a little bit. But to be a regular adult and not know how to read, it's like, it's a little bit embarrassing. And speaking of embarrassing, have you seen how many people are tech illiterate at the TikTok Congress meeting? Have you watched that?
yes, this is
That
a great
pains
segue.
my soul.
This was a great segue.
That pains my soul. And here's the thing. When it comes to TikTok, and when it comes to their ties to the CCP, whatever, you know what? If you want to press the guy for that, cool, right?
Yeah.
But the way Congress went about everything makes the CEO of TikTok seem like a patron saint.
Dude.
Like, we came out looking bad. And the worst part was that this was live streamed. There are videos on the internet, and if we wanted to strike fear into the heart of other countries, we did it in the worst ways possible. Other countries probably look at that Congress meeting and probably think we're baboons. Like, we're just discovering fire or something. Like, it is so bad. I implore you. It is 5 hours long. Realistically,
Did you watch all of
like
it?
3 hours. I watched 3 hours of it. So I pretty much watched everything.
I
The
wanted to
first
watch
hour
some
was
of
like
it, yeah.
getting there,
Yeah.
and then there was like a break. So I almost watched everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt the pain of this guy. I tried to envision myself in the CEO of TikTok's position, and I was like, man, at this point, I should just sell to the CCP. Like, this is crazy. Like, what is going on here? Who am I talking to? And the main thing America wants is they don't want China to get a hold of U.S. information. Fair, whatever,
Right.
you know? Like, we're not exactly on friendly terms with China. Cool. I don't really care. I kind of agree with it in a way. But the guy has a solution where he wants to store data on U.S. soil. And he wants to have, U.S. third parties, like, have a hand in it. And pretty much everybody who works on this is American. And they kind of already are.
Mm-hmm.
But the U.S. doesn't even want to hear, like, any of his rebuttals or anything. Literally half the time in that Congress hearing. So I realize how big of a problem our congressional hearings are because we have every state have a representative, and they're all limited to 5 minutes of questions and answering. So not only are they limited in their speech and introductions, but the answer that the CEO has to give has to fit in that allotted 5 minutes. So half the time they're like, oh, like, what do you think about this situation? Yes or no? And you know the internet. There's not, even in any fictional story, non-fictional story, like in any setting in real life, it is very hard to answer questions with yes and no. And especially when you're in a congressional hearing where lying is a, quote-unquote federal crime, because obviously not a lot of people get tried for that, or not a lot of people go after that in the first place. It's just kind of like a threat. But he can't answer yes or no because it's somewhere in the middle. That's where the answer lies. And I see what he's going for, but the Congress members are so batshit. Like, I don't have a good way to describe it. It is painful to watch. And I'm not necessarily rooting for either side, but I feel bad for the guy at TikTok. I almost want him to win now, even though the odds are stacked against him.
Yeah, no,
Go for the underdog.
So I was actually gonna make a video on my non-One Piece related thing, like, you know, I have a video there, but like a main video on this because I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and I watched like maybe 30 minutes of like a center part, and then a bunch of clips, and I think I got a breadth of like every single state at least. So, you know, as far as how much I've heard at least one word from every single representative. And what's interesting was the clips. So here's the thing. I look at the one major thing that you said was it's live stream, right? That's like something that's incredibly important in my eyes in terms of how these things are streamed. Because imagine back in the day, how many congressional hearings went this way? Right. How many times like that kind of thing? And like movie scenes don't like even when Tony Stark,
they paint the Congress as geniuses.
That, but then also even the plaintiffs for the part of the movies, they get a lot of time. But no, that's not what's happening here. And then so, you know, to the importance of the yes or no isn't just a yes or no. The no is your answer is either lying or you're tanking your company. like your yes or no makes headlines as, oh my God, the CEO confirmed yes to this question, and then your stakeholders, your company, thousands, millions of people are either out of jobs. In TikTok's case, it actually would be millions of people because the fact that TikTok supports small businesses is like a chokehold that even like it blows my mind because of most of the people that were boosted in that week were middle American jobs where like, you know, they don't have the benefits of New York or New Jersey, the population, right? This is like a middle of nowhere. They post up like their restaurant ads, they post up like their thing, their online shop, and then
it's a great way to campaign for everybody.
Right. And these
There's
are
actually a place in Oklahoma that I think is horrid, some of the worst food imaginable. But some girl posted a thing like, oh, like I work at this place and the owner he sits at the table every day because have you seen that?
I might know what you're talking about because I think it's in Oklahoma.
She was like, yeah, it's Oklahoma, and she was like, oh man, like our poor owner, like he just watches cars pass by.
Was it a taco place?
Dwindling around. It's like this weird Asian fusion, which I think is. I tried it. It's not that good.
It might not be the one I'm talking about,
but every time I drive by it now, there's actually a lot of cars there, and it's like, okay, like this guy, his business is going well, or at least he got some small boost to it. TikTok is good for a lot of things other than, you know, brain rot.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. It's pain to see, but I understand both sides. But that Congress hearing is garbage.
Right. And so you know, on the algorithm side, right? What's funny is like people are memeing it, but some of these guys are saying some crazy things where it's like I think they brought up like a gun thing, like, oh, you guys allowed this for 41 days, blah blah blah.
That was good. That was hilarious.
And you look at the thing, and it's clearly not viral. It had like less than 200 likes or something like that.
Anybody who doesn't know, there was one representative that was up and is like, oh, like I went on your app and I have this post right here from 41 days ago, and look what it says. It says me as F at the congressional hearing, and it's a picture of a gun just going off.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, like how could you allow this on the app? Like you're trying to be transparent and you're trying to protect everybody, but look at this.
Yeah.
And it's a shit post with, I think it had like 200 likes, and that was it. And so maybe only 1,000 people viewed it. And here's the thing: every tech company is actually safeguarded from posts like that.
Because there's no way to actively monitor every piece of content that's posted. So companies like YouTube, Facebook, like literally any company, even Instagram, they all act on a good faith law here in America where as long as the company doesn't know about it and as long as they try to take these posts down as actively as they possibly can, they're safeguarded. They are not liable for it.
And they should know that. And like the other part of it
It was just dumb.
them showing it there probably got it more views. One, two, like what? I don't know. Two, the person I'm pretty sure was a Republican, and it's like the gun stuff is like your thing. You want freedom of speech. You want everyone to bear arms. Like people can see guns if they go to the stores. They can go to gun shows. You don't need an age. They don't even casinos have an age gap or age limit to entering in, but gun shows don't. You could be 5 years old and go to a gun show. They don't ID this is the craziest thing that they're like, oh, why isn't this being monitored? And it's like, wait, it's not supposed to be. Like, that's the thing. And so, that point, and a lot of things that you're referencing, where it's like, either they're stupid, or they're delirious, or they have an agenda. And you and I both know that,
they
like,
have an agenda.
when it comes to an agenda, and we're talking from, like, the One Piece route, where people have agendas, and they're, normal logic fails them when they have an agenda, And the thing is, Facebook is the company that benefits the most. Meta now, but, like, essentially...
Facebook, YouTube Shorts, man, that, if TikTok's so big, it's gonna pop off.
Yeah, but the thing is, YouTube, I don't even think put money into this. Like, they probably did, but from what I saw was that Facebook paid $140 billion, I think, into lobbying this TikTok thing. So all last year, and there's actually essentially, Mark Zuckerberg on record, like, basically saying, like, we need to, deprioritize TikTok, put negative news in essentially out there. This is like confirmed things, and it's like the craziest thing, because if they put that much money, it's like, of course you'll have a bipartisan congressional committee of Republicans that are going against their own freedom of speech ideals, gun laws, everything like that. Yeah, money would do that. That's like, and that's where I'm trying to figure it out. I want to watch that thing to understand, like, how much of this is them essentially getting the bag.
It was a circus. And the craziest part is that they went there, and it's at the bottom, it's plastered everywhere. The whole topic is supposed to be TikTok's ownership, and China's ownership of TikTok and ByteDance. But 95% of the people and representatives that questioned him had nothing to do with China. Yeah. It was literally just, what about data? How about the security? And then every time he has a response, so like, well, I don't believe you.
Right.
Like, some people will actually have an opening statement that starts with, I don't believe a single thing you've said. And the worst part is that they have to read a script. Mm-hmm. They all have pieces of paper in front of them, which is, that's fair, right? Yeah. But you think that if you have 5 minutes to talk, you probably wouldn't need a script, right? You could just go in, because it's all just your thoughts consolidated. I mean, why does every single person have a script? And I don't know if you've seen the pages that these guys have. I started to try to pay attention to their scripts. They have full-on, pages and pages they flip through, packets. And it's not because they have a lot of interesting points in there that they want to nail down or a whole big spiel. It's because they can't read. The 21% illiterate people we were talking about, it's them. Everything on their pieces of paper are at font size 270. Like, one guy had 10 words on a piece of paper, and he had to flip over to see the next 10. I was like, no effing way. Like, it's ridiculous. And the worst part is that it's live stream.
Yeah.
Like, we live in America. We want the best for America. Fine, sure, whatever. But this makes us look really dumb. Like, this is some of the worst things I've ever seen.
I just want to,
it doesn't make us look smart.
Touch on the CEO. The CEO was probably the best chosen person that, God could have landed as the person there. He I'm not going to speak on his person. I didn't dive deep into his history, but TikTok did.
You know his family.
TikTok did, and we know his family. We know his life story ever since he was born. Essentially, TikTok found everything to figure out to try and find skeletons. They did a good job, right? Whether this guy is an evil person or not, his performance at the thing was actually great, because he was trying to be educational. He responded to dumb questions very, very tame. He kept
he never cut into anybody's lines when he was talking.
Yeah,
or when they were trying to talk over him. Like, he was so respectful.
He was great, and to the point where, like you said, it's you listen to 3 hours. You can't. It's very difficult to put on a persona for that long, and it's to the point where people were almost, how Mark Zuckerberg has the lizard man. He's like an AI robot. They replaced him, whatever. To the point where I almost thought that this dude was just the software update. He had to be they learned from Mark Zuckerberg and they downloaded patch 4.3 or something like that. Because this dude is crazy. The point where I want to meet his family and understand, like, his kid's probably great, his wife's probably a great person. Like, I could tell from that, the part that I listened to, is like, wow, this guy has eaten shit in life and he knows how to handle it. Like, that was crazy. And the Congress people made him seem smarter than he was, because in all honesty, in that hearing, he did not have the time to demonstrate his intelligence. He did not have the time to like show why he was a CEO. But the funny part was, he was like an intern at Facebook in 2012, I believe, and became the CEO of TikTok, I think, in 2020. So only 8 years from intern to CEO of TikTok. That's insane. Incredibly young. 3, you would think that some guy who rises like that is some like a dickwad, right? Arrogant asshole. No, like I don't know.
He seems like a nice guy, man. Like,
like
out of the 3 hours I have watched, he is the nicest person in the room.
Yeah, for sure.
He seems so genuine compared to everybody else. And I don't know if you got to the part where they start talking about his personal finances and how much money like he owns. But everybody in Congress seems so upset that he earns so much money.
And it's like
that his company, that TikTok owns money. They're like, oh, like I heard TikTok's. Apparently, they're on track to earn $18 billion. Is that true? How much is that as your share, sir? And he's like, I'd rather not disclose that. He's like, huh, I thought so.
Yeah.
What are you talking? Like, sir, would you like to disclose how much money you make? Like, it's such a weird thing.
If we're being honest, that's like the only
It was a clown fiesta.
That is the only fair audio bit that like makes sense for them to grab at in all contexts. Because essentially what the Congress people are doing, and what I was alluding to before, is before we had live streaming, all we got as citizens was just headlines. I don't know if you've seen the headlines. It's very different from the internet today. The headlines from like major like CNN, Fox, like across the board are like, Congresswoman slams TikTok CEO on.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the headlines like, oh, the TikTok CEO is going down.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like he got owned right here, and then you watch the clip and it's like, did he though? Like, it seems like they're just being asses to him.
Yeah.
That's not even a good question.
Like the one Congress person that I forgot what her question was, but it was just like, oh, are you like, the Tiananmen Square one, that one, is that content still there? All they have to do is pull up their phone and Google it, or TikTok it, and it's there, right? And the thing is, they're like, oh, are you lying? That's under perjury, and then that was what was like, you could go to jail if you're lying, and then that's TikTok CEO was slammed by Congressman. I was like, yo, what's that?
They asked him, they're like, yeah, it's like China's trying to suppress Tiananmen Square. Like, and why did TikTok follow the CCP's order to take it down? He's like, no, it's on there. You can just look it up. It's like, how did you not do research before this? You could just literally look it up anywhere.
And the thing is, like, one of the craziest things that I saw was on TikTok, to give an example of how, like, yeah, TikTok can suppress things. I'm on TikTok. I know that they can do that.
Yeah.
Right? But in terms of the breadth of information that's there, maybe in a certain week it goes down, but I've seen next to literally everything. I've been on all sides of TikTok, to the point where I was on like illegal TikTok, where this dude uncovered like the Vietnam War or something like that. And I forget what context it was, but there were pictures. No, not Vietnam War. There was like some kind of slaughter, some like insanely gruesome slaughter that is essentially lost in history because everybody involved wanted to hide it, and nobody really had reckon. I don't remember what it was. It might have been. I just know that China and Korea was probably involved, one or the other or both. And this dude uncovered my job is to get something banned, and that's how I perform. Someone's paying me millions to do it, and I fail.
The worst part are you're getting paid millions of dollars a day on TikTok. You have like a whole script. You have weeks and weeks to prepare a 5-minute yes or no, like, hey, can you answer this question for me? That's all you have to do. Maybe craft up 2 or 3 questions, and you have the topic sheet in front of you, and you can't do it gracefully. Like, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Like, how are these guys getting paid so much money?
Like, the Wi-Fi question is a meme, but there were things outside that. That's probably the one that most people have seen, where it's basically
The Wi-Fi question was funny.
Yeah, it was funny, but like that guy was old, right? That guy was super old.
Yeah,
I get it.
If you guys don't know, he doesn't know how Wi-Fi works. He essentially asked, "Hey, like, he asked if TikTok accesses your home's Wi-Fi."
Yeah.
And then the CEO was like, "Yeah, if you turn on Wi-Fi with TikTok, it accesses your Wi-Fi. Like, any app does that." And I understand people are afraid of their data being breached, but at the same time, it's not really an excuse, but a lot of apps do that.
Yeah, I mean,
your clock app does that. You like literally everything. If you download an app for you to have like rain noises in the background while you sleep, that's collecting your data. Like everything does. It's not TikTok exclusive.
And the worst part is that the one lobbying against TikTok, and it's confirmed that they were, is Facebook. And Facebook literally last like 3 years is in the mud, where it's like they were caught on record actually selling our data to China. And like the China part is like the craziest thing, because all of their essential like stereotyping that they did, right? They applied to this guy who is from Singapore, and that was like that one was just a slap in the face. That everybody was kind of like, "Yo, you're saying that this guy from Singapore, it has connections to and like speaks to," and it was like, I don't know how they looped that around in their various 5 minutes, but it made no sense in all of the situations that I've seen it. And the thing is, it's like the people that are paying them sell their data to China, and the thing is, like, China doesn't like the thing that they were accusing TikTok of doing of like being bad or with like children and exposing them to things like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. YouTube's not as bad, but like because Facebook and Instagram like was caught for this misinformation, all that stuff, like everything that they were saying was applicable to Facebook, and it just made no sense, because the main reason why everyone wants TikTok off is because you can't copy the algorithm, right? Which is what they apply to China. Like China copies us and now China is better than us. China is way better in all regards, and they can't copy the algorithm for whatever reason. And that's why they want it down. And it's like the goofiest thing, because when they go around to like explain all the negative things about TikTok, it's like like you said, it made us a laughing stock in the world, where it's like I have this larger context that I want to talk about, but it doesn't make sense here, where it's essentially like, why can't they just hire experts? Why?
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. They could literally just hire experts in the field.
Yeah, just hire experts.
Just, instead of the representatives, have experts in the field of data security, just TikTok algorithms. Like, have people who actually know what this is all about. Instead, I live in Oklahoma. Like, half the people in that are representatives in Congress, they seem like people that would just like live across the street from me. And it's like, I don't trust them, dude. I don't trust these dudes.
Yeah,
like what is going on?
The thing is, like, I'm sure there's an explanation for why you can't hire an expert in this situation, right? Because like they're targeted, paid, like the same reasons why in a court hearing, right? Like your experts have to be vetted and things like that. But like
the jury members are random.
Yeah, like there's a whole slew of things, but like no, in this situation, it's like
this
have
is what
to.
I'm saying. We need to reset the world and have monsters just rampage.
The way I see it is like, I think right now, there is a movement, surprisingly, Gen Z, where they are voting. Actually, I think they're voting in a higher rates than millennials, which is interesting, because like they get the stigma. But that when we talk about mainstream media, I think I was watching Hassan also participating. Like, there's a lot of young, like 20-year-olds who are in Congress and whatever, and they're really smart. Like, actually, like, surprising. Like, I knew a lot of 20-year-olds who were like beyond their time, beyond like wisdom, whatever. But they're like actually being voted, and like the thing about it is like you know that they actually are good because the amount of footage, streaming, everything that they do, it's like they're actually competent people. Whereas like a lot of these boomer people, like you said, we actually don't know if they're illiterate or not because they don't show themselves like that. They never had to back when.
Those guys are actually like celestial dragons in a way.
Yeah, like
They don't know anything about the outside world.
People can get put on a pedestal so much so that they don't necessarily need the skills and requirement because it's like they have people working for them that cover for them, right? It's like so many things. The main thing that you always need is a charismatic person who can speak well, and that's generally what you see of them. All the Congress people have a way, a cadence to their speech, a very authoritative way of speaking also, which makes those sound bites sound even crazier. And at the same time, when they're stupid, it makes them sound even stupider. But like, that's why they got voted in.
Dude, I saw one representative ask a question. Though, essentially, they're like, hey, like, TikTok is really addicting. There should be a time limit on it, whatever.
Right.
And the CEO is like, yeah, like, if there's a parental setting where you can limit your kids that are under 18 to only be on there for 60 minutes a day, right?
Right.
And then the person was like, yeah, but, if I just called up my kids the other day and asked if there's a 60-minute time limit, and they said there isn't. Like, what's your explanation of this? Like, yeah, you can turn it on and off. Like, it's like they've never heard of parental settings. Like, you can turn it on and off. Unless you want TikTok to have, like, your actual ID. Like, driver's license to see when you turn 18 so you can have more than an hour. Like, there's no real solution to that. And even then, if you don't want your kid to be on it, just tell them not to get up. Like, be a parent. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
like, they're expecting TikTok to parent for them in a way.
Yeah.
Those nuts.
Like the absurd reflections that come from that, isn't just in how they speak, but what they did talk about. Because I forget what it was, but the TikTok algorithm essentially reflects what you like. If you like what you want to see, it'll push more of that, but it'll also give you fresh things. So like someone described it as like on Facebook and Instagram, you get more of what you follow, right? But what if like in 5 years, like you followed a bunch of shoe accounts and then because you're a sneakerhead, and then in 5 years you grew out of that, but then you have to unfollow all of your shoe accounts? No. On TikTok, what they do instead is that they give you what you are interested in, and that those interests can change, which is why it's one, competitive, but then two, it's repetitive. And some things that were said is like, it's brain rotting. These challenges, for example, they brought up the challenges like people dying, which I think as content creators we talk about this and we know about it, where it's like a lot of those things were exaggerated. That's just the nature of the internet. When something extreme happens, it gets boosted on all platforms, right? And the thing is, it's like kids doing crazy challenges is an unfortunate byproduct of how our algorithm works across the board. But on the other end of it, they were like, they also asked like, does China, do they have these challenges despite them having a separate system? And it's like, even if they do or don't, like the thing is, the fact that they don't have the challenges and that's what the agenda you're trying to push, that's a reflection of their society. Their kids aren't stupid, bro. Like,
It's like
the thing that we were talking about earlier, where it's like going outside isn't foreign to them. Go outside, no, they rather do Tide Pod challenges, which is something they actually referenced, which wasn't a TikTok's era. It was prior to TikTok. I think Tide Pod was Vine. Yeah. But then I'm pretty sure they brought that up, and it's like, what? Like, what are you doing here? That's a reflection of how our society and what we push and what we like.
There was freaking one representative who was like, oh yeah, my daughter, she goes on TikTok and she's getting eating disorders because all the girls she sees on TikTok are slim and skinny, and like, why is TikTok boosting their content? And it's like, it's not choosing them, it's literally just what society is wanting.
Yeah.
Like, algorithmically, like, it just works. Like, that's what people want.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even, you can't really blame TikTok for pushing things that people want to see rather than not.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but it's like, at the same time, like, just be a parent in a way. talk to your daughter. Like, get them off of TikTok. Limit them. Like, literally, there's so many things you could do that doesn't involve blaming the CEO of this company.
Yeah,
and it's so far away from the CCP agenda they're trying to go for.
Right. And something that like I do want to point out though is that it was proven by a fair amount. I don't know specific on TikTok, but there was on TikTok by like independent programmers and sources from within that like one congresswoman from New York. Oh, the New York. I forget her. She's like in anime. Like she's a dope congresswoman. They made an anime with her. She's in movies. Like she's an incredible person. On surface, anytime we compliment. But from what I know, everyone likes her.
She's a serial killer on the side.
Yeah, but she was bringing up the part that like TikTok suppresses black creators, which is something that TikTok, has in the past. Someone exposed an algorithm thing where the face recognition boosted posts that were from like it was like a skinny human type of thing track. I forget what it was exactly. But the thing is, TikTok isn't the only one. YouTube had a whole controversy last year, and they basically admitted to it on like in a roundabout way without tanking their own stocks, right? Facebook is also known for that. All social media has suffered from that. But like what Sai was saying is like on a certain spectrum too, it's sometimes you kind of have to look at those trends. Like, why is this getting boosted? Is it an algorithm? Are they pushing it? Well, the organic thing is, hey, look at what the majority of our country is. If the majority is that, you're going to get a reflection of what the majority wants. What is the majority in America? It's not black creators. It's not black population. It's not Asian creators. It's not Asian creators. It's not that. So when you have 150 Americans on any platform, and you try to boost the interest in a general fashion, right? Because I get a lot of people of color
with the main nationality. It's like how we live in America, and we don't see any of the Chinese TikTok people. Like, this is a global platform. Like, I don't know.
But you can't be on there. I've seen their stuff.
Go there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you boost the algorithm above that, like, let's say I only watch Chinese creators, right? Like, everything else I scroll past, then eventually I will get on that side.
No, 100%.
That's how it is.
When Russia was invading Ukraine, I was getting TikToks from Russians and Ukrainians.
Also Russian talk.
Yeah, like they were marching in the snow, and like you could go on the news and say there's troops stationed here and they're making their way through, etc. You could go on TikTok and there was a few goofballs that were just in the middle of the Russian army walking in the snow, and it's like that could be fake, but like there was thousands of Russians, like, and they were speaking Russians with weapons strapped on their back, and they were also
All
like
the comments are Russian.
tanks.
It's like, you can get there. You can literally get there if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily suppressed. It's more just it's one. It's catered to what you watch. So if you don't watch it in the first place, then it's not going to boost it as much. And two, it's also based on where you live. It's geographic.
Yeah, and the geographical thing, those factors are factors because that's just a smart thing to do. Why would I naturally want to see European, African, Asian news straight from Asia when I'm American? It's going to give me what's local to me because that's what naturally is going to interest me. That doesn't necessarily mean that like there's an algorithm behind it. There is, because that's smart, right? But then on the other side of it, I could break that algorithm. If I chose to not like any other TikTok and like all those Russian and Ukrainian invasion ones, I would probably still be getting Russian ones, which I still sometimes get Ukrainian posts actually. I forget for what reason, but it might have been because the Tate stuff. Because like, not that I would like it, but I like seeing size thing. Even if I don't like something, I'll like it just so I can get more of it. And then I'll stop liking it at a certain point when I've seen like reruns or something. But then that takes you to fun places because when you start liking things that either you don't agree with or you don't like, or you want to learn more of, right? Like something that you don't necessarily care for. But that's so hard to do on any other platform, right? Because on YouTube, in order for me to do that, I have to be knowledgeable about something. Whereas on TikTok, some of the shit, like I send you, like I bet if we scroll through like, my DMs to Sai, it's like truck rally TikTok, and like mushrooms can sing TikTok, and like the craziest things. And you know, going back to the whole commerce thing, where like I think like and I'm curious with you, where it's like at a certain point, I think there should be.
This fight has been instructive. I do appreciate the lesson.
Yeah, no, okay, so
Like not just Congress, but like just
okay.
even going all the way to like juries and how courts.
Yes.
Like, we gotta do everything.
Okay,
man. Like
okay.
I for the longest time, that's another reason why I think my monster agenda is just it's the perfect solution.
I've been wanting to make this video, and I feel like I'd be alone. Not alone. I feel like a lot of anarchists would want this, but like I don't even care about that stuff. I know a little
It's
bit.
never gonna get reworked apart. You're never gonna get patch 2.0.
Yeah. So no. It's not
It's
even.
too
I don't
ingrained in
care.
American history.
I don't care about patch 2.0. I don't even care what it looks like. What I care about is that I know people that will see an injustice or see an inefficiency in the law and say, that's the law. We're not going to change it. I'm like, wait, pause. We have, despite our system, we have a system that if there's a law, you can set new precedents, you can amend the law, you can do so many things. You can't fall back on like, oh, what are we going to do about it? It's the law. Like, what do you, it's like, huh? What do you mean? Like, we're not just robots following a system, but then you take it to another level where it's like, our forefathers built this system.
No, I've seen some of that. I've seen some court places or some court videos where the judge is like, oh, like, how dare you, like, think this is unjust and unfair. Like, this is built upon years and years of trial and error. It's like, well, then it's not working.
I don't know what label to put on, but that is a huge platform for Republican agenda, where it's just like, to be voted, you have to agree that the forefathers built a perfect system, essentially. Any kind of talk outside of that is treasonous, because it's disrespectful to the forefathers. I'm looking at this concept, right? And I'm thinking about it like this. I don't blame half of them for not knowing. Why? Because my parents don't know. It's so hard to teach them. My dad was a software engineer, still a goober with stuff. He still doesn't know how to transition our business into the modern era, right? Me and my brother tried. This man worked at IBM, and he was so good that he survived like 4 layoffs. I'm like, how does that make it to this? And my dad's not awful. Like, he'll learn stuff if he wants to. He just doesn't like learn like a sponge like he used to, apparently, from what I know, right? But most people aren't software engineers. Most people don't have tech stuff at that era. And so most, like, if you're above 50, it's like you get a pass right now because it didn't exist when you were growing up, right? If you learned it, if you know it, and you're tech literate now, which is crazy, then kudos to you. But that's not what we should expect, right? And if 20 years can make that happen now, and like they don't know what Wi-Fi is, how can anyone with a brain, anybody, I'm sorry if I'm offending you and you're of this mindset.
You know what? I have an idea.
What?
Put ChatGPT in charge of Congress. I think it would actually do a way better job.
Not even that. Like the thing is, like, people, this is what we need to break down, is that there's voting people who just exist with us that are stern on the fact that we should not change the Constitution. We shouldn't change how our world, our what's it called? Our government works, because our forefathers built it that way. And that is like, that's almost as bad as Flat Earther. It's almost as bad, because I'm sitting there like, how do you think the forefathers envisioned the future? Do you think they foresaw the internet? Cars? That didn't exist. Like, what are we talking about? Their policing system was meant for...
that crazy part. Come on.
Like,
You know this?
that's what I want to know, right? Like, we just talked about, like, a few episodes ago, how every single adult was inherently incompetent in our modern era. Most of them were murderers, first of all. Second of all, half of them probably had neurosyphilis that ate away their brain, or some other ailment that by the time they were 40, because they didn't have medical knowledge, ate away at their brain cells. And yet we think that those people built the greatest system that can't be updated. Even the banking system got updated, and that was made by an actual, like, few geniuses behind it. And it lasted a long long time, but it failed, right? It needed updates, and they knew about it. They like whoever I forget who it was, the Adams family, not the Adams family, but the John Adams
family.
John Adams, I think the second one, and some really smart guy did it, and then J.P. Morgan and a few others. I forget the history. Whatever it is, these are smart people that did it, right? George Washington and all the other people and whoever the forefathers are, right? These are just men who rode on horses well and stabbed people well and survived, and some of them could write newspapers and words. We need an update. We need an update. I don't care what that update looks like. It needs to be an update, and we could stop the world for the pandemic. We should stop the world for that. We should stop the world because there are Congress people who are like 30s, 40s, whatever, and they in Congress acknowledge the inefficiencies of their system many times. Half the time, that's what filibustering
There was
is.
a couple of people who even said they don't know what they're talking about in Congress.
Yeah. So
They're like, well, I'm not too tech savvy, but let me tell you, like this data right here, you know, how you're handling it doesn't seem too good to me. It's
I don't
like,
even.
bro, what? You can't start off by saying you don't. At least lie to me, dude. Come on, at least lie to me.
I don't even think like we change operating systems, bro. Like every year. Like come on, like how are that to me is like the most problematic thing because it's like the later stuff is just an all from like
We're like
laws,
the Roman Empire in a
elections.
way.
Yeah.
We need to adapt with the times, or we're just gonna get left behind.
And that's where I agree.
It's
We need
for the
these
benefit.
to run amok. We need a reset. I agree because we either
You're on
need
the
to.
monster agenda.
I've been on the monster agenda. I just don't
Those shark
agree.
people, mushroom people,
I
like a robot race that comes out of the ground.
I would be the first person on your side, but also the first person on your side to tell you, let's try other ways first. Like a good friend should. Okay. I'd be on your side because I agree. There needs to be a reset. Either
Shark people, your part. He's not from the agenda.
Either we reset,
Lock him up.
or someone's gonna reset us. And the thing is, like, we're going to a world where someone's
Fighting for others. I kind of like how human that is.
It's a crazy mix right now with the nuclear stuff, right? Like, I think we lost like one of Russia's nuclear stuff, and we lost track of it, and that's terrifying. And then people don't know about space wars, which is an actual thing. And then on top of that, even financially, it's like we're owned by China, which is why essentially the Congress is so up in a tizzy about it. It's like they can't really do much about it. And I just sit here, I'm like, there's a root cause to all of this. We're using a bad system in every other context. When a
So what
system
you're
is
saying
bad,
is to deploy the nukes and have a great reset.
that would be the end. Like we would come to a point, right? We would come to a point where we're
Like,
so
if you didn't say yes or no.
we're so obsolete that maybe that is what we. Honestly, maybe
I think the monster reset is more tame.
you're right because we'd have a fight again.
We still need humanity to pull together to do the nukes and
No, but
we're gonna fall out.
we talked about this in the previous episode where
We need a Thanos.
where essentially, a Thanos, but like essentially, war. We talked about, I think, on
An
episode
outside
3.
war. That unites
The
humanity.
point of war, kingdoms could house more people, could create more agriculture, could fund and feed more armies, bigger armies, could provide safer living through health. All those things.
That is a concept and a mindset that's lost in the modern era part. There's too much arrogance nowadays.
And that's what I'm
Everybody's
saying.
way too stubborn to admit that they're inefficient.
And that's exactly what I'm saying because if you
Like it's when
introduce
China
these,
had a
right?
building for COVID patients that collapsed and they're like, oh no, we're handling it well, guys, don't worry.
Yeah, and then like
Oopsies.
there needs to be something where you can't hide this stuff, right? Because like World War II, right? The thing that I brought up about the conspiracy, but the truth is our warfare infinitely got insane. Like if you fought a war with a decade ago with the stuff that you had in World War II, it's like you were aliens, right? Like because they didn't have like the tanks that they had, they didn't have missiles, they didn't have like planes that
Stealth
that
bombers.
crazy, stealth bombers, all that stuff, right? Imagine you
Like
just took that,
phosphorus.
went back 5 years prior and fought a war. You would be like an alien race taking over the world. And I'm not a World War II pro World War. That's not what I'm saying.
You know, the biggest World War II advocate there is.
But like, if you were to on a daily basis because I might not agree with all those things. But like India, for example, they UVC light their entire subway, like not subway, train system, public transportation when it's not used, and that disinfects. It doesn't clean, but it disinfects any virus, bacteria, and it's super effective. Super effective, and the U.S. still can't do that. It's just light bulbs. That's all it is. Just light bulbs. That much better. And it's India, bro. And it's the craziest thing that's like that. Like so many other countries you can point to with the advancements that they didn't help. But you look at America, and we're struggling to still like wear masks during flu season, right? And it's like, bro, it's literally cloth on your face, and people can't breathe. And like to me, I sit there, and you might be one of those people that don't like masks, and that's fine. Being uncomfortable with masks, that's a different thing. But not being able to breathe with a mask on tells me that you have a respiratory issue. That's what you should take away. 70% of America has deviated septums, which if you take even a little bit of stressor and put it in front of your face, like sleeping, that's when your deviated septum would affect it. Most of America couldn't make that logical leap where like, oh, if I can't breathe with a cloth in my face, that might mean that I'm bad at breathing. And if you're bad at
I'm
breathing,
gonna die tonight when I take a nap.
and then when I cycled through that logic, I was like, oh, if you're bad at breathing, that means your brain's not oxygenated, which means you have brain rot, like actual brain rot, which is why you can't make that logical leap. They're like, hey, I can't breathe with a cloth in front of my face. Like, imagine dying to, like the way they talk about it is someone could smother you with a mask. Like, that's how they talk about it when they're made for you to breathe in. And it's like, I don't know.
Society, man. Like, so when I was in Japan, if anybody's just even slightly sick, they just wear a mask.
Yeah.
It's a public norm.
That's what I used to do as a kid.
They had no issues with mask wearing or citizens wearing masks whatsoever. And it's because they're just used to it. If somebody's sick, common courtesy, just put on a mask. And that's it. It's just society. It's just how the country sees it. You know.
Yeah,
It's so interesting how like every country is so different.
Yeah, it's the reason why. So when I was a kid, I had strep throat a lot, which is bacterial. But like, being an ADHD kid, I put a lot of things in my mouth, or like back of the pens or whatever, and you shouldn't do that. But then with a mask, it was like a thing. But then also, I didn't want anything to get.
All right, I quit.
And like, largely outside of America, it was socially acceptable, and it's like to the point where this is the thing that blows my mind. And I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast yet, but like I was diagnosed with cancer before the pandemic. Ironically, in a situation which to a lot of my viewers wouldn't be like surprising, but I predicted the pandemic before. So when it hit in China, I think it was November 2019, right? I went to a wedding, and I told one of my friends, my roommates from college, and I told him, I was diagnosed, and telling him, and I was just joking to him. I was like, honestly, like wearing this mask out in public, because I was wearing a mask as I was already diagnosed, and I needed to. And I was saying, like, it's so weird that like people frown upon it so much, and to the point where they'll like ask you about it. They'll be active instead of like minding their own business, right? It's like you don't know what people are going through. Like most of America has not a terminal illness, but a long-term illness, right? That it would benefit them to do it. But a lot of people, even in the past, didn't do it because it wasn't socially acceptable. So I told them, I said, it'd be crazy, that news about like the virus in China, I'm pretty sure we would have a pandemic, and if we did have a pandemic, it would be like one of the better things for me, because then everybody's wearing a mask. But it also sucked too, because then the hospital shut down, and we had a whole conversation about the pandemic. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure if this thing blew up, it would probably be early next year, blah, blah, blah. And me and my wife like stockpiled masks for my cancer stuff. But the reason why I'm talking about it is because when I was going in for radiation, in the room, in the waiting room, there was old people, mostly old people. I was usually the youngest every single place I went to. And I would wait in the hospital for hours. Some days I was there the whole day. So I saw every patients every single time, to the point where the receptionists were like, who's the patient? You know what I mean? They would ask me because they didn't think I was the patient, right? I go to the radiation part. So this is like nuclear part. So people are getting radiation or chemo, that kind of thing. There was a bunch of kids, little kids, that are just like, they're literally dying. Like, they get sick, they'll die. They tell their family, like, they have a suggestion. If you're sick, sick either, right? And she was wearing a mask, everything. And we just saw a bunch of people coughing, sneezing. This is like early 2018, January 1st, actually. And there's these kids who are like actually terminally ill, just in this room, getting like exposed to this. And some of them can't wear masks actually for medical reasons, and they're like getting chemo, and some of them are too young to wear a mask also. And that just blows my mind, because now if you're even coughing, you can't enter a hospital. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I went to the best cancer hospital in America, and they still had a recommendation, suggestion that if you're sick, wear a mask into this room where people are dying, versus now you can't even enter the hospital if you cough, right? They'll kick you out if you're essentially sick, right? Masks don't stop it. And I'm like sitting there like, that should have been an always thing. Why did it take a pandemic for us to implement this? And why did it, like, there's this room full of people that are too, like, full of themselves to wear a mask even though they're sick or coughing, and they read the sign like, hey, there's dying people, please wear a mask, and they still didn't do it. And like, even now when I go back to the cancer hospitals, there's still people that, because it's recommended, they'll take off the mask once they're inside. And I go to like not cancer hospitals because various reasons now, and I see that, I'm like, yo, this is so dumb. This is a medical setting we won't wear masks.
I think it's a fashion thing too. Like some masks, I mean, it's the truth, right? Okay, let me just say it right here. Some masks are kind of ugly.
Fair, fine.
Like the blue
But
one,
Korean
the
masks,
gross.
Korean masks go
Actually gross. I don't like the Korean masks that much. You know,
Really?
they're fine in their design. Yeah, the ones that kind of like are pointier.
No, not those. Have you got the KF95? Those 94. Those are nice. Those are sleek. Yeah. It looks funny when it's folded. Let me see if I have mine here. I don't. I just need it. But it wraps around your face, and it makes so much more sense because it's ergonomic. But the thing is, Japan and Korea have way better tech for all that
I've
stuff.
seen those.
Yeah.
Well, all I have to say is that black masks are so freaking cool.
Yeah, no, that's what I have. Yeah.
Dude, all of my masks that I used to wear, black.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I worked during the pandemic too a little bit. When I got, when I was done with my unemployment.
Mhm.
But when my job came back, I worked. And since I work in a restaurant, obviously I see a lot of people, we gotta wear masks, whatever. But let me tell you, as a waiter, it looks a lot better if you wear a black mask. Like, I think it's actually better than my face, because I have a resting bitch face. Like, half the time I look like pretty bad, but I wear a mask and boom, like, you don't know what facial expression I'm making. Like, it's so freaking cool.
Yeah. And people are like,
And hey, if you want to protect your privacy and your data, I mean, boom, wear a mask.
Yeah, and it's funny because like China and all the countries that wear masks regularly during flu season, they're also the ones that have like the facial recognition stuff. So it's like, the masks also help for that. And it's like, it's crazy because it leads to so many other conversations. Because one of the things back when I was helping people with health stuff was skin issues. Skin issues are so prevalent in America versus people are like, Asians have incredible skin. And the thing is, it's like, when you boil it down, one, they have cleaner air, but a lot of respiratory issues cause skin issues. Like I had this one person in California, she's a very smart person, and she went to like 9 doctors, and she asked me to help. And I told her, I was like, I'm pretty sure your problem is the air quality. Like, you're having an issue with breathing plus air quality. And the reason why I figured that out is because her family didn't live in California, and so I had her go back to go back in time to like college times or whatever, and she's like, oh wow, you're right, like it happened when I moved to these certain areas, and I was just like, it's probably like these two set of things, and their doctors confirmed that. And it's crazy how much we pay for like dermatology and all those other things when it's literally just a breathing thing. And you gotta wonder, it's like, Asians have
Water. That's all it is.
Yeah, breathing in water. You gotta wonder why Asians have great skin and they look young forever.
They got top 3 waters in the world.
Yeah.
Top 3 purest water in the world.
And
Like, it's that crazy.
Get sick less often because when the flu season comes around, they wear masks. They're also breathing really well because the other part of it is our air is disgusting.
It's not as bad as some countries, but it's not good.
Yeah, no,
Not as bad as some countries, but let me tell you, American air, it could be better. If you wanted to, it could be better.
some places have great great pockets of good time, but you know, populated places are not great. The point where like I don't want to live in New York purely because of the air. When my cancer hospital's in New York, MSK. I
China's air is bad. I
yeah,
don't see
China, India, off.
that air, dude. It's a yellow fog.
Yeah. And the pandemic cleaned that shit. That's what I'm saying. Like, pandemic brought so much good, and apparently the dolphins came back to New York City. It's like, what? Like, how's the water?
Don't get me started on dolphins, dude. Number one rapist out there in the animal kingdom.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that you hadn't thought of dolphin people, which is like crazy, but that makes sense.
Okay, I don't like the R words, bro. Like, yeah, no, I don't mess with dolphins. If my monsters come up, they will be killed.
Yeah,
They don't do none of that.
Planet of the
that
Apes?
breeding stuff.
No, like if they wanted to make a real horror movie, Planet of the Dolphins. Think about that.
That would be terrifying.
They would
like
run us over.
Planet of the Dolphins. I'd probably like if we lose the war, I'd probably like kill people out of pity. I'd be like, yo, like I'm saving you from a worse fate for the Dolphins.
The thing is, like, we don't even like need them to kill us, right? We're killing ourselves because, like, in New York City, right? When masks were introduced, people realized, like, wait, the city smells awful, and it's like if you wear a mask, you don't smell anything. So that also means you're filtering out those particulates that are really bad for you. The piss smell, I didn't smell any of that because I just wore a mask the entire time. And even like when I wasn't as careful, I still wear a mask. And that shit, like when I was younger, and it's like it blows my mind that it took like it like so many problems can be solved from a cloth, and we don't do it. And when it, you know, backing up further, those are those little inefficiencies, right? Having a 20% illiteracy, people dying for not wearing a mask, like from a rather docile, you know, virus that could have been tamed a lot quicker.
Super docile. Like Corona was not that potent.
We would filter all those inefficiencies if we had some form of beast monsters that like, you know, I would imagine like some random country, Estonia or like Romania, they would be like randomly so advanced, and they would have like Norway where everyone has Teslas because the government provides you like the Teslas that filter have HEPA filters in the thing. So if there's like bioterror warfare or whatever, everyone in Norway would be fine because they just all have Teslas and they could survive in their Tesla for 3 days, something like that, right? Those are the countries
suffering in a car. That's all I heard.
All those countries. Hey, you can play Mario Kart apparently, right? My car can't do that, but you know, apparently, like those are the countries that would survive those crazy things, right? I mean, nuclear war aside, but like, yeah, throw out peace. It's like, yeah, maybe America would survive, but like we would be caught like co-breeding with them. Like that's how dumb part of America is, right? Like we have those videos of us like trying to fuck goats. Like I wouldn't be surprised if fish people came. We would be the first people to have mermaids. You know, I don't know what to expect out of America. All I know is that, like, going back to the beginning, is our Congress is so upsetting because, one, this is the other thing that I want to frame it as like a YouTube video was, imagine TikTok wasn't a serious organization. Imagine you really did want to ban it. They did an awful job of doing that, of showing that. Even if they wanted to actually ban a nefarious organization, none of their questions would have done, like...
It didn't land well. Like,
yeah.
They should have just reframed the entire thing.
Yeah, like, and that to me is the worst part is, it's not the stupidity, it's not that, it's the same problem as the TSA, where it's like, if there was an actual threat, apparently 95% of the threats can pass through. There was like multiple studies done last year, years prior, where TSA fails to do their job to an insane rate. And that's how we see Congress, where it's like, no, even if TikTok was literally cloning us because they got our DNA from the camera somehow and they invented that technology, there's no way we would find out because our Congress people are that stupid. Because they were asking about dumb
trends. They're asking about Wi-Fi and eye dilation.
Yeah, which is the
eye dilation one?
The eye dilation one could have been a great question, but he failed at the filters. Like, the eye dilation thing was
You didn't know what filters were, bro.
Oh my god. The
eye dilation guy was crazy. He was like, yo, like, why does TikTok need to see when my eye dilates? Like, why does it need to know what my face is?
Which is an
and the guy was like, well, TikTok doesn't look at eye dilation. It only looks at your face if you put a filter on, because it needs to know where to put sunglasses. It was goofy.
Because of the stupidity, right? There's two things where it's like, the eye dilation thing was a conspiracy on early TikTok that a few coders were like, no, wait, they actually do that because the eye dilation thing relates to your serotonin, right? And I'm like, cool. Then they're being more accurate at that. Like, they're cool. They're looking at my eye dilating. Fine. That's why I prefer to have shitty cameras rather than what I'm using right now. Most people know I use like an awful webcam. Sometimes you put the Vaseline on there and you make it extra blurry because I don't want that high def quality. I don't want you guys to see my pores, right? But all of those data questions essentially like, are you taking user data, right? And they were so surface level that they just wanted the bits of him saying yes, when the reality is, like you said, everybody takes data, right? But the thing is, what they needed to find out was everybody takes data. Right? But the thing is, what they needed to find out was what kind of data. They so broad, like we said, umbrella, like we follow industry practices, right? But like they
but we don't. That's so broad. Like we don't really know. And that's the thing. Like, okay, so I'm looking at my phone right now.
Yeah.
I have, let's say, I'm trying to think of the most tame app I have that I don't mind doxing. I have Reddit, for example. I have the Reddit app. My Reddit app tracks my data. It has my information. Like, it's that common.
You know what I do? On all of them, because on Android you can force this. I have all location, all like contacts, like all that stuff forced off. And so some apps constantly remind you, but then I forget, my brother showed me a way to like make it so those things don't show up. I forget what we did. It was a long time ago. I explained why I don't remember those things. But that's a different conversation. But like, so some of them just ask you, and I just hit no every single time. And so most of my apps don't track my location, even though all of them do. Even like Reddit probably does, because it probably like one time like wanted to geo track like trending things in your area, and you just say yes, right? That's how those things work. They all track all kinds of data. But the problem was like they kept on asking surface level questions that even if they were a nefarious organization, you didn't like learn anything. You don't know what they're using for, because like I take your user data too. Guys, when you guys watch the YouTube video, when you guys do that, I get your user data. You know what I get? I get demographics, I get where you're from, I get your age. I don't get the user information, but that is user data. That is what they're talking about. If you say no to that question, they can take that and say you're lying on the stand. So he has to say yes, but he can't say yes because like, oh my god, they're taking user data through the Wi-Fi. All my devices are connected.
If you're surprised that TikTok is taking user data, like you're gonna be in for a shock when I tell you about some other websites out there.
Because if they asked me on the stand if I take user data as a YouTuber, I would have to say yes, because I do. I literally do. You guys commenting on my videos, I can click on your profile and then I see a profile picture. That is user data. That's how your username is user data.
And the funny thing is, people have this like main character syndrome too, where they think, oh no, like China has, my data. Oh no, my name is John Smith and I live in Oklahoma. Oh god, they're gonna get me now. And it's like, realistically, they won't. They just want to see like where people are living, what's trending. Like they want to know what TikTok knows, and that's fair if you just mass populate it. But you as the individual, like nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, and there
is 0% chance like China's like wondering what my next door neighbor is doing right now, right?
You don't even need to be afraid of China. See, the thing is, this happens in the States where like there's multiple police stories where like people are essentially like, I feel like they're after me, right? But this was actually shown during the pandemic where there was a science teacher who, I think they were like, they had extra time or something. They worked with the government, and so they quit their government job, and they were essentially whistleblowing. And the way they got shut down was some like gulag shit. Like they broke into their house and like dragged her out, and it's like they couldn't know. Like they literally had to have like looked into, like used her personal information and all of that stuff in order to enact what they did to her. And it's crazy because it's like that kind of level of information you don't even need TikTok for. People overpost anyways. The solution, again, is what we were talking about. It's like, in order to police TikTok, it's not TikTok, it's you as a person. It's you as an individual. It's you as a parent. It's you as an influence. Me personally.
People aren't forced to download TikTok.
Yeah.
Technically, you know, you didn't have it.
Yeah, it's like the craziest
I liked on that for a second.
It's almost the craziest marketplace thing where, you know, like they were also talking about it like this is a good thing. And this is a UK and a US thing where they were like, and Justin Trudeau. Like, all the governments are essentially doing this. Justin Trudeau's like, like my children who have, he inserted this for some reason. It's like, luckily, my kids don't use TikTok because they use government-funded phones. And so government phones don't have TikTok. They can't have them. And then everyone's like, wait, why do your kids have government-funded phones? What the hell? Like, you can afford phones.
Nice.
And then, but then, like, on the US and UK thing, everyone's response is like, why do government phones need to have TikTok on it in the first place? We don't need you scrolling on TikTok. We need you to be the government. Like, you get your own personal ass phone to have TikTok. You know what I mean? Like, it's the craziest thing that's like, why is that a plus
it's
one?
like, if your kid doesn't have TikTok, like Justin's kids, it's like there's a high chance that if they go to any school or meet any other kid their age, they're gonna have TikTok. 9 out of 10.
If anything, they're gonna be crack addicts. They're gonna go to school. Give me your phone. Let me catch up on the thing, and then they just scroll through. Yeah,
That's how kids are.
That's
Like, if you ever see a
100%
kid that doesn't have something that their parents won't allow them to, they're just gonna get it from their friends.
Yeah, at school. That's what friends are for. That's literally
That's
what.
how drugs work. That's
Yeah.
how games work. Like, literally, that's
That's a time-old thing. You know,
like. It makes me wonder if some people were like time skipped into their age. Like, how do they not know this?
yeah, like it's like 99% of them committed like crimes, like actually, you know, the R-word crimes. Like most of those dudes did that, and it, like the thing is, like you gotta remember how they were raised and all that stuff, and it's like it's the same thing. Who got you cigarettes if your parents did? Your friends did. Who brings you drugs if your parents didn't? Because your parents aren't supposed to be. Your friends did because some of your friends have drugs. Like that's how it all works. If they're gonna say TikTok and social media are like drugs, then what happens when you ban it instead of do proper education, which is what they do with all drugs? What, right? They can't stop the war on drugs, which is an awful name for it, obviously, but they try to re-educate you. Well, they don't do that with social media, but they go on there like, oh, we saw, science tells us that addicting as dopamine-inducing drugs like methamphetamines and crack and cocaine. It's like, okay, so how do you handle those things? You teach people about it, right? Like, what happened when you banned it? Banned alcohol, banned
You know what you talked about last video, like the world is ending or something like that. We're all doomed.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a continuation.
There's no saving us, and that applied to everything else. But like
There's
this,
no saving us, but this time us is capitalized and it stands for US.
yeah, let's rerun the thing.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but like this, usually we don't talk about like concurrent things, but this one I could title it like TikTok, Congress, like trendy stuff. Maybe we get some random non-One Piece
Yeah.
viewers.
Apologies to everybody out there who were like, man, this entire episode was just the TikTok hearing. But let me tell you, man,
It's
it
important.
was a sight to see.
Yeah.
It was goofy.
For me, I think like the way I see those things is rather than complain about it, it's like that should make you passionate towards fixing it. And like there's some people who don't believe in themselves for whatever reason. It's like, bro, like you're probably more competent than these people. It's the same thing like Joy Boy Theories, a YouTuber came onto my channel, and we were talking about following your passion, right? And him being an inspiration, he just wrote a book. And him being like, people think that like authors or people who are successful are like these gods, like they put them on a pedestal. But Joy Boy on a live call stuttered, stumbled over his words, had pauses in his thoughts and all that stuff. And he was assuming I would cut them out, but I asked him, I was like, hey, can I leave that in? Because that's like more human, right? And the thing is, it's like a lot of people think Congress people, politicians, they're smart. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm telling you,
Your next door neighbor might be better than them.
yes, I've met many of the competent ones, and they are smart. Those ones are smart, but they're not like, they're smart because they know their limits and knowledge. Whenever I've seen them and spoken to the Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, those politicians, whenever there was a lapse and they didn't know something, I could see them studying. I could see them learning. I could see them doing that behind the scenes. I know that from various people. But the people that were like running for the spot, right? And they're the other people. It's like you could easily tell, yo, this dude, you knew who this guy was in high school. He was just like this guy who spoke well, or you know, it was super like one-track minded, and he just
and
looks
then you
well.
age them like 30 years, and then they don't even do that well anymore.
Yeah, because like it's the same thing. It's like I peaked in high school, right? It's like that kind of thing. That's what most of the Congress people are. They're the people who peaked in high school, were elected and stayed that way because their voting demographic also stayed, and then they hired people that would make them more presentable to the high schools of the prior generations, right? Or the generations that came after. That's how that stuff works. The people who are there are largely incompetent. You know, largely.
I'm gonna do one more
It's
fight.
not just an
And I'm gonna cut the stream.
Maybe the
more.
world was better when the what is it?
And I might do something.
Death was 17, not 17, like 20, 25, 28, 29, 30.
Let's see.
Some
Sharks are loud and clear power. We need shark people. That's all I got.
I lost a lot of
There was
matches.
so many things where like I sit back and I think like I forgot which example this was, but you know, like I asked my brother this question. I'm curious. And my brother had a super. I was surprised. I thought he was gonna be like, "Nah, you're a dumbass," right? Like to me. And I wasn't asking it in this question, but he knows.
It's
he
real
knows,
rough,
like,
man.
Where I was gonna. But I said, like, you take Michelangelo, you take Da Vinci, right? They're like, what? I don't even know what era they're from. Like the 1000s, right? And they're
It's
like,
mainly that you can't stop combos. It's wild, man.
We're still like the Da Vinci Code, like we still can't crack it.
You can't stop combos, or you can't reduce the damage. You just gotta just take it.
Are they geniuses? And like we just have so many geniuses that like they're surprised or whatever. Like I asked my brother essentially, like, if you took Da Vinci and you brought him now, right? Brought him here, and you raised him like largely this, like, you know, in the same way but like healthy, right? Would Da Vinci have been like a mega genius? Like, would he have been even smarter, or would he have capped at the same learning level, or would he have been an average person? And I had, he would have capped, right? And I'm like, because the same time, it's like some of those people, they stopped at like calculus, right? We have so many people that went beyond calculus. We have mega geniuses, right? And I was like, where is Da Vinci at? But then you look at Da Vinci, he's a polymath, right? He's great in so many different areas versus other people who made strides in one category. That's why Da Vinci and Michelangelo were so highly regarded, because like they were smart in arts and in history and linguistic nature and speaking and math and science, and they discovered things that like even today like most people don't know. And I see that, but then my brother's answer was like, I was like, wow, I don't know if you said that to like raise my spirits.
Man, you can't do nothing about it. You just gotta you can't stop the combo. They ignore the cover change,
Maybe they were anomalies. Maybe
and
they were really smart.
they hit very hard to the point where you're gonna lose somebody most of the time.
People are lost in our world because we have a lot more distractions. They didn't have as many distractions back then. And the world was very like lateral. It was like there was war, and then there was wealthy people, and that wealth provided you to era of a time of either the people went to craziness and absurdities, or they elevated society in a smart way because they had no other thing to focus, right? They just had nature, they had the sky, so what are the only things you look at, right? Whereas now, you have your phone with a million different things. And so he was saying, like, yeah, maybe we have a bunch of Da Vinci's that are just lost because we have these phones.
Yeah, I agree, man.
Exactly.
Like,
that's a
it's
natural
big
thing where,
time.
this is a common
Stop the
thing.
combos,
I don't remember the
big
exact
time,
but
with
the world
so many different ways. It's crazy, man. It's just he archer unit. That's the problem. You gotta really try to get him.
True grandmasters are a waste of life, a waste of space. And this is the thing that they say about themselves. The reason why they say that is because if those people took their brain capacity and mental like prowess to any other field, which they do later in life, and applied that in the entirety, they would have made strides in those things.
It will merge.
Right now, like, he can remember every single chess match, like in modern
I
history.
do one more.
And like, if you applied that knowledge to anywhere else, it would have like solved cancer.
Yeah, number
problem, because
one,
you
man.
remembered every single genetic code.
Nah, I ain't gonna do
or
that, man.
mutation
I'm gonna
related
do-
to it.
I'm gonna
We
do
don't
it.
have people like that. Now we have
I'm gonna charge
AI
my
that's
phone.
doing it.
Hey.
I can always come
Studying
back, though.
cancer isn't fun.
Yeah,
Come
I
back
mean,
later.
some people, I had fun studying it, but that's also because it was a life or death thing
Like,
for me.
if you put, okay, let's say if I was a genius, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I have
All
like
right, y'all.
500 IQ.
Peace.
I'm like one of the smartest men in the world.
Thank everybody for coming to the stream.
If you were to ask
Peace
me,
out,
like, hey,
pimp.
Stein, like, please, can you discover the cure to this great
Hey,
disease?
I might come
I'd be
back
like,
though.
fuck no, dude. I'm gonna go play
I just need to
Resident
charge
Evil.
my phone.
Like, why would I do that?
See,
You know?
like,
We would be here.
most of humanity's developments come from generally
We'll see, man.
hardship, right? Like, so when you personally suffer from it, then you're pushed to it. And you know, that's why it's like the various oppressions